I have this poem here. I think either you or Jolly were reading this one. Um, it is, of course, Neruda. It is called poetry. I'm pasting it on local chat. And it was at that age poetry arrived in search of me. I don't know. I don't know where it came from winter or a river. I don't know how or when. No, they were not voices, they were not words, nor silence, but from a street I was summoned from the branches of night, abruptly from the others, among violent fires, or returning alone. There I was without a face, and it touched me. I did not know what to say. My mouth had no way with names, my eyes were blind, and something started in my soul, fever or forgotten wings, and my I made my own way, deciphering that fire, and I wrote the first faint line, faint without substance, pure nonsense, pure wisdom of someone who knows nothing. And suddenly I saw the heavens unfastened and open, planets palpitating, plantations, shadow perforated, riddled with arrows, fire and flowers, the winding night, the universe, and I, infinitesimal being, drunk with the great starry void, likeness, image of mystery, felt myself a pure part of the abyss. I wheeled with the stars. My heart broke loose on the wind. It was Pablo Neruda poetry. Thank you. Yeah, Pablo Neruda is just, I don't know, this guy is writing, it is actually translated poem because he's a Chilean poet, but still, I think it can touch even a child not having a much understanding of poetry, the sustenance of words and this the way he describes his feelings is just amazing. No matter if you write about love or life or death or cat, even about cat.
The poem by Neruda that Anika just read reminded me a little bit of this poem by Aleister Crowley. I'm going to put it in chat. So, this is a poem by Aleister Crowley called Long Odds. How many million galaxies there are? Who knows? And each has countless stars in it, and each rolls through eternities afar, beneath the threshold of the infinite. How is it that with all that space to roam, I should have found this mote that spins and leaps in what unutterable sunlight, foam of what unfathomable starry deeps? And who knows? And how this 1,000,000,000 souls, and 500,000,000,000 souls of earth that swarm, all abound for unimagined goals, all pioneers of death enrolled at birth. How are they swept away before my sight, that I might stand upon the single prick of infinite space and time as infinite? Who knows? Yet here I stand, climacteric, having found you. Was it by fall of chance? Then what a stake against great odds I have won! Was it determined in God's ordinance? Then wondrous love and pity for his Son. Or was it part of an eternal law? Then how ineffably beneficent! Each thought excites an ecstasy of awe, a rapture rending the mind's firmament. Infinity, yet you and I have met. Eternity, yet hand in hand we run. all odds that I should lose you or forget, but soul and spirit and body, we are one. Is this the child of chance or law or will? Is none or all or one to thank for this? It will not matter if thanksgiving fill the endless empyrean with a kiss. Back to you, Saber.
Dark eyes they fixed upon my soul, and burning deep I lost control. That spirit held me fixed and true. That spirit came from inside you. Dark eyes that make me feel so small, dark eyes which held me in its power. Dark eyes, you are my true desire. I could not move away from you. You had control, what could I do? Your eyes they pierced deep within, and held my gaze fixed by a grin. Dark eyes that held me in its gaze, dark eyes that left me in a daze. I could not look away from you. What did you want me to do? Dark eyes that burn within my own, dark eyes that said I'm not alone, dark eyes that say you have control, dark eyes your love is in my soul. Dark eyes that cause my heart to skip and somersault with every flip. When love is blind and love is true, dark eyes know that I love you. Okay, Jolie, the mic is yours.
Thank you. Okay, Aaliyah put this in chat, and it's called Beautiful Signor by Cyrus Cassels. This is the endless wanderlust. Dervish, yours is the April upon April love that kept me spinning even beyond your eventful arms toward the unsurpassed, the one vast claiming heart, the glimmering, the beautiful and revealed, Signor. I hope that was read properly, Aaliyah. Thank you.
This poem is called The Fleeting Moments. The fleeting moments that we shared will stay within my soul until we meet on death's dark shore. My love will never grow cold. My heart it grieves now for thee because you've passed away, but one day soon we'll meet again. Oh, what a joyous day. The love you shared with me is still within my heart. The wisdom you bestowed on me gave me a brand new start. You formed the very character that made me what I am. I will always love you because you are my mum. Although I cannot be with you, one day soon I will. I thank you most of all for the things that you have done. You gave my life true meaning and showed me who I am, the son of Alice Watkins. Now I'm a full-grown man. The words I want to share are hidden in my heart. The love I want to show to you has been there from the start. I cannot print the meaning because it lies within. I do not have the answer now why you had to go again. You left us when we needed you to be a loving friend, and although you've gone away, we know it's not the end. We know that you are with us through thick and through thin, and whatever life throws at us, your love is still within. So if you have a poem that you would like to share, we would love to hear it.
Actually, NM just IM'd me. On Thursday, for poetry, we had a small group, so we were translating poems to French and reading the English, and then NM would read the French. And I gave him one for a future time. He just gave it to me and asked me if we could read it today. And I said, sure. So this is a Robert W. Service poem. May I, Saber?
Yes, Joey.
Cafe Comedy by Robert William Service. She. I am waiting for the man I hope to wed. I've never met him. That's the funny part. I promised I would wear a rose of red pinned on my coat above my fluttered heart so that he'd know me, a precaution wise, because I wrote him I was 23. And oh, such heaps and heaps of silly lies. So when we meet, what will he think of me? It's funny, but it has its sorry side. I put an advert in the evening press. A lonely maiden fain would be a bride. Oh, it was shameless of me, I confess. But I am 39 and in despair, wanting a home and children ere too late. And I forget I'm no more young and fair. I'll hide my rose and run. No, no, I'll wait. An hour has passed and I'm waiting still. I ought to feel relieved, but I'm so sad. I would have liked to see him just to thrill and sigh and say, there goes my lovely lad, my one romance. Ah, life's malign mishap. Garçon, a café crème? I'll stay till 9. The cafe's empty, just an oldish chap who's sitting at the table next to mine. He. I'm waiting for the girl I mean to wed. She was to come at 8 and now it's 9. She'd pin upon her coat a rose of red, and I would wear a marguerite in mine. No sign of her I see. It's true my eyes need stronger glasses than the ones I wear, but oh, I feel my heart would recognize her face without the rose. She is so fair. Ah, what deceivers are we aging men? What vanity keeps youthful hope aglow? Poor girl. I sent a photo taken when I was a student 20 years ago. Hers is so spring-like, oh, so blossom-sweet. How she will shudder when she sees me now. I think I'd better hide that Marguerite. How can I age and ugliness avow? She does not come. It's after 9 o'clock. What fools we fogies are. I'll try to laugh. Garçon, you might bring me another bock. Falling in love just from a photograph. Well, that's the end. I'll go home and forget. Then, realizing I am overripe, I'll throw away the silly cigarette and philosophically light my pipe. The waiter brought the coffee and the beer, and there they sat, so woebegone a pair, and seemed to think, why do we linger here? When suddenly they turned to start and stare. She spied a Marguerite, he glimpsed a rose. Their eyes were joined, and in a flash they knew. The sleepy waiter saw, when time to close, the sweet romance of those deceiving two, whose lips were joined, their hearts, their future too. Over to you, NM.
Thank you, bravo, Jolie. Bravo, so cute. Euh, Elle. J'attends l'homme que j'espère épouser. Je ne l'ai jamais vu. C'est le plus drôle. J'ai promis de porter une rose rouge, épinglée sur mon manteau au-dessus de mon cœur battant, pour qu'il me connaisse, par précaution, lorsque je lui ai écrit que j'avais 23 ans. Et oh, des tas et des tas de mensonges stupides. Alors, quand nous nous rencontrerons, que pensera-t-il de moi? C'est drôle, mais ça a son côté désolé. J'ai mis une annonce le soir. Presse. Une jeune fille solitaire serait une épouse. Oh, c'était honteux de ma part, je l'avoue. Mais j'ai 39 ans et je suis désespéré, voulant une maison et des enfants avant trop tard. Et j'oublie que je ne suis plus jeune et juste. Je vais me cacher ma rose et m'enfuir. Non, non, j'attendrai. 1 heure s'est écoulée et j'attends toujours. Je devrais me sentir soulagé, mais je suis tellement triste. Et soupirer et dire: voilà mon adorable garçon. Ma seule romance, ah la mésaventure maligne de la vie. Garçon, un café crème. Je resterai jusqu'à 9 heures. Le café est vide, juste un vieil homme, qui est assis à la table à côté de la mienne. 2. J'attends la fille que je veux épouser. Elle devait venir à 8 heures et maintenant il est 9 heures. Elle épinglerait sur son manteau une rose rouge et je porterai une marguerite dans la mienne. Je ne vois aucun signe tel. C'est vrai, mes yeux ont besoin de lunettes plus solides que celles que je porte. Mais oh, je sens que mon cœur reconnaîtrait son visage sans la rose. Elle est si belle. Ah, quels trompeurs sommes-nous, les hommes vieillissants. Quelle vanité entretient l'espérance juvénile. Pauvre fille, j'ai envoyé une photo prise quand j'étais étudiant, il y a 20 ans. Le sien est si printanier, oh si fleuri doux. Comme elle frissonnera en me voyant maintenant. Je pense que je ferais mieux de cacher cette marguerite. Comment puis-je vieillir et avouer de la laideur? Elle ne vient pas. Il est plus de 9 heures. Quels imbéciles sommes-nous? Je vais essayer de rire. Garçon, tu pourrais m'apporter un autre boc? Tomber amoureux juste à partir d'une photo. Eh bien, c'est la fin. Je vais rentrer à la maison et oublier. Puis, réalisant que je suis trop mûr, je vais jeter cette cigarette stupide et allumer philosophiquement ma pipe. Le serveur apporte le café et la bière. Et là, ils étaient assis. Alors, malheur à un couple, qui sembla penser. Pourquoi s'attarde-t-on ici? Quand soudain ils se retournèrent pour sursauter et fixer. Elle aperçut une marguerite, il aperçut une rose. Leurs yeux se sont joints, et en un éclair ils ont su. Le serveur endormi a vu, quand il était temps de fermer, la douce romance de ceux qui trompent les deux, dont les lèvres se sont jointes, leur cœur, leur avenir aussi. Bravo, thank you Jolie, for reading it with me.
Okay, is there anyone who has a poem that they would like to share with us?
I could read something, Johnny.
Wonderful, Anika, the mic is yours.
When I die, I want your hands on my eyes by Pablo Neruda. And I'm pasting this on local chat. And it goes like this. When I die, I want your hands on my eyes. I want the light and the weight of your beloved hands to pass their freshness over me one more time, to feel the smoothness that changed my destiny. I want you to leave while I wait for you asleep. I want for your ears to go on hearing the wind, for you to smell the sea that we loved together, and for you to go on walking the sand where we walked. I want for what I love to go on living, and as for you, I loved you and thank you above everything. For that, go on flowering, flowery one, so that you reach all that my love orders for you, so that my shadow passes through your hair, so that they know by this the reason for my song. It is somehow not so good translation, but it was it. Back to you, Jolly.
Wonderful. Thank you. This is by Saida, and it's called She Was Made from Antiquity and Storm. She walked out of the watercolor storm of a fresco, like a cowl-bound form in a light drizzle of rain. Her mosaic tiles of ancient lovers' eyes, ceramic-born, just as her lips held the curves of the urn, kiln-fired, the coiled heat of grease still stinging through her flesh. For her, the treetops had been the summoners of storm. In kind, she poured down on the wet grove of her hair. Poured down the wet grove of her hair. Electral, pantheress of humid breath and fanged flare of lightning, tamed once in the cloudy cage of the Pantelic marble of the Parthenon. But the world piled dust before her, baiting with its groveled roads. For her black mullings, much tasted rain, and heaven's leaves to fall. If only Michelangelo to come had let me start that over. If only the Michelangelo to come had carved the clouds of her, for the light to remain, shining its centuries, then maybe thunder would have been left alone. Okay, I messed that up royally.
Pasting in on local chat. And it goes like this. You have asked me what the lobster is waving there with his golden feet. I reply, the ocean knows. You say, what is the acedia waiting for in its transparent bell? What it is waiting for? I tell you, it is waiting for time, like you. You ask me whom the macrocystis alga hugs in its arms. Study it at a certain hour, in a certain Z, I know. You question me about the weak tusk of the narwhal, and I reply by describing how the sea unicorn with a harpoon in it dies. You inquire about the kingfisher's feathers, which tremble in the pure springs of the southern tides, or you have found in the cards a new question touching on the crystal architecture of the sea anemone, and you will deal that to me now. You want to understand the electric nature of the ocean spines, the armored stalactite that breaks as it walks, the hook of the anglerfish, the music stretched out in the deep places like a thread in the water. I want to tell you that the ocean knows this, that life in its jewel boxes is endless as the sand, impossible to count, pure, and among the blood-colored grapes time has made the petal hard and shiny, made the jellyfish full of light, and untied its knot, letting its musical threads fall from a horn of plenty made of infinite mother of pearl. I am nothing but the empty net which has gone on ahead of human eyes that in those darknesses of fingers accustomed to the triangle longitudes of the timid globe of an orange. I walked around as you do, investigating the endless star, and in my net, during the night, I wake up naked. The only thing caught, a fish trapped inside the wind. And it was enigmas, a lot of enigmas from Pablo Neruda. Thank you, guys.
This is Pablo Neruda, Cat's Dream. Gotta have a cat poem for Socrates. Saber, is it your microphone?
Yes, sorry.
How neatly a cat sleeps. Sleeps with its paws and its posture. Sleeps with its wicked claws and with its unfeeling blood. Sleeps with all the rings, a series of burnt circles which have formed the odd geology of its sand-colored tail. I should like to sleep like a cat, with all the fur of time, with a tongue rough as flint, with the dry sex of fire, and after speaking to no one, stretch myself over the world, over roofs and landscapes, with a passionate desire to hunt the rats in my dreams. I have seen how the cat asleep would undulate, how the night flowed through it like dark water, and at times it was going to fall or possibly plunge into the bare, deserted snowdrifts. Sometimes it grew so much in sleep, like a tiger's great-grandfather, and would leap in the darkness over rooftops, clouds, and volcanoes. Sleep, sleep, cat of the night, with episcopal ceremony and your stone-carved mustache. Take care of all our dreams. Control the obscurity of our slumbering prowess. with your relentless heart and the great ruff of your tail. Back to you, Saber.
This poem is called A Smile That Melted My Heart. I was walking down a corridor back to my workplace, and just as I got level with the door in the corridor, it suddenly opened, and she stepped out of a room, and I was instantly in awe of her beauty. I was taken aback and mesmerized. It was but a moment, and yet time seemed to stand still, and all my heart could say was, wow! I had never ever touched her, yet she would become my muse. Where does this spark come from? When it suddenly ignites, we can't say why, it just happens. It was as if by magic. She wasn't there then, suddenly she is. And yes, you are mesmerized and bewitched, albeit for a moment, when you see this auburn-haired beauty for the first time. Her smile takes your breath away. She can melt your heart away without even a word being spoken. Just a smile, and that smile lights up your life. I couldn't get her out of my head or out of my heart.
I can read that, Neruda.
Okay, Joel, the mic is yours.
I think this is my favorite Neruda. But everybody's heard me read it before. Sorry. Here you go. I was looking for Pablo Neruda's Ode to Walt Whitman, and it wasn't coming up in my inventory, and I looked at the total number of things in my inventory, and I'm missing more than 20,000 things. So I'm going to have to clear my cache when I leave. But I still have this one that says, From 20 Love Poems and a Song of Despair. This is poem number 20. Tonight I can write the saddest lines. For example, the night is starry and the stars are blue and shiver in the distance. The night wind revolves in the sky and sings. Tonight I can write the saddest lines. I loved her, and sometimes she loved me too. Through nights like this, oops, I lost my place. Through nights like this one, I held her in my arms. I kissed her again and again under the endless sky. She loved me. Sometimes I loved her too. How could one not have loved her great still eyes? Tonight I can write the saddest lines. To think that I do not have her, to feel that I have lost her, to hear the immense night still more immense without her, and the verse falls to the soul like dew to the pasture. What does it matter that my love could not keep her? The night is starry and she is not with me. This is all. In the distance, someone is singing in the distance. My soul is not satisfied that it has lost her. My sight tries to find her as though to bring her closer. My heart looks for her and she is not with me. This is all. Oh no, wait a minute. I left that up. Where did it go? All right. The night is starry and she is not with me. This is all. I read this before, I'm rereading it. In the distance, someone is singing. In the distance, my soul is not satisfied that it has lost her. My sight tries to find her, as though to bring her closer. My heart looks for her, and she is not with me. The same night whitening the same trees, we of that time are no longer the same. I no longer love her, that's certain. But how I loved her! My voice tried to find the wind to touch her hearing. Another's. She will be another's, as she was before my kisses. Her voice, her bright body, her infinite eyes. I no longer love her, that's certain. But maybe I love her. Love is so short. Forgetting is so long. Because through nights like this one, I held her in my arms. My soul is not satisfied that it has lost her. Though this be the last pain that she makes me suffer. And these, the last verses that I write for her. Sorry I messed that up.
Jolie, now check your inventory under recent.
Oh, thank you.
Right, okay.
Okay, well, there won't be time today. Other people will want to read that, but thank you, thank you.
This one is called The History of One Tough Motherfucker by Charles Bukowski. And I haven't got time to put it in local chat.
Saber, you go ahead and read. I'll put it in local chat.
The History of One Tough Motherfucker by Charles Bukowski. He came to the door one night, wet, thin, beaten and terrorised, a white, cross-eyed, tailless cat. I took him in and fed him, and he stayed, grew to trust me, until a friend drove him up the driveway and ran him over. I took what was left to the vet, who said not much chance. Give him these pills, his backbone is crushed. But it was crushed before and somehow mended. If he lives, he'll never walk. Look, here, these x-rays. He's been shot. Look, here, the pellets are still there. Also, he once had a tail. Somebody cut it off. I took the cat back. It was a hot summer, one of the hottest in decades. I put him on the bathroom floor, gave him water and pills. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't touch the water. I dipped my finger into it and wet his mouth, and I talked to him. I didn't go anywhere. I put in a lot of bathroom time and talked to him and gently touched him. And he looked back at me with those pale blue crossed eyes. And as the days went by, he made his first move, dragging himself forward by his front legs. The rear legs wouldn't work. He made it into the litter box, crawled over and in. It was like the trump of a possible victory blowing in that bathroom and into the city. I can relate to that cat. I'd had it bad. Not that bad, but bad enough. One morning he got up, stood up, fell back down, and just looked at me. You can make it, I said to him. He kept trying, getting up, falling down. Finally, he walked a few steps. He was like a drunk. The rear legs just didn't want to do it, and he fell again, rested, then got up. You know the rest. Now he's better than ever, cross-eyed, almost toothless, but the grace is back, and that look in his eyes never left. And now sometimes I'm interviewed. They want to hear about life and literature, and I get drunk, hold up my cross-eyed, shot, run over, detailed cat, and I say, look at this. But they don't understand. They say something like, you say you've been influenced by Celine. No, I hold up the cat. By what happens? By things like this, by this, by this. I shake the cat, hold him up. In the smoky and drunken light, he relaxes. He knows it's then that the interview ends. Although I'm proud sometimes when I see the pictures later, and there I am, and there is the cat, and we are photographed together. He too knows it's bullshit, but that somehow it works. Okay, Eneka has something she wants to share. Eneka, the mic is yours.
Neruda, I want to read my favorite poem of Neruda, and it is with dedication for you, Luke. And didn't read it for a long time. It's called Love Sonnet 17 by Pablo Neruda. I do not love you as if you were a Zaltros or topaz or the arrow of carnations the fire shoots off. I love you as certain dark things are to be loved, in a secret between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that never blooms but carries in itself the light of hidden flowers. Thanks to your love, a certain solid fragrance risen from the earth leaves darkening my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you straightforwardly without complexities or pride. So I love you because I know no other way than this, where I does not exist, nor you. So close that your hand at my chest is my hand, and so close that your eyes close as I fall asleep. And it was Love Sonnet 17 by Pablo Neruda. Thank you.
Thank you, Aneka. Okay, Julie, read the one that I sent you.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if you go
Yeah,
over.
okay. Open it up. And thank you for sending it to me. This is Pablo Neruda's Ode to Walt Whitman. Oops. Let's see if I can get that whole thing in there. Yeah, cool. Okay. I like trying to picture this as I read it. Ode to Walt Whitman by Pablo Neruda. I can't recall my age, or if I was in the vast streaming south, or in some forbidding coastline where seagulls wheeled and cried. But I touched a hand that day, and it was Walt Whitman's hand. And barefoot I walked the earth. I wade through tenacious dew in the grasslands of Whitman. Throughout my entire childhood, my companion was that hand with dew on it, the timber of its patriarchal pine, the expanse of its prairie, the mission of its articulate peace. And Walt did not disdain all the gifts of the earth, the capital surfeit of curves, the purple initial of learning, but taught me to be Americano, and raised my eyes to books, toward the treasure that we find inside a kernel of wheat. And girthed by the clarity of the plains, he made me see how the high mountain tutors us. From the subterranean echo, he fetched it all in for me. Whatever he could harvest, gallivanting through the alfalfa, on the days he passed in the kitchen or at the bend of the river. But not just earth by itself was brought into light by the work of his shovel. He disinterred humanity, and the slaves who were abased along with him, balancing the black dignity of their stature, went on to conquer happiness. To the stoker down below in the boiler room, Walt sent a basket of strawberries, and each corner of his city was visited by his verse, verse like a strip of clean flesh, the beard of a true fisherman, the solemn supple gait of his Acacian legs. Passing among the soldiers, his bardic silhouette, night nurse, camarado, he knew painful, rasping breath, and he waited with the dawn for life's silent return. Bread maker supreme, primal brother of my roots, cupola of the conifers. For the last 100 years the wind has passed over your germinating grassland without consuming your vision. But now your country is cruel, full of persecution, tears, prisons, and lethal weapons, uncivil wars that nonetheless haven't crushed the grass of your book, living source of originality. And I, those who murdered Lincoln, who now lie in that bed, have dismantled the fragrant lilac of his memorial and put a throne in its place, splattered with blood and misfortune. Your voice, that's still singing in the suburban stations, on the unloading docks at night. Your word, that's still splashing like dark water. And your people, black, white, poor, and simple, like all people, still not forgetting the tolling of your bell. They congregate and sing beneath the magnitude of your spacious life. They walk among the people with your love. They caress the purest development of fraternity on earth. That was an ode to Walt Whitman. Thank you. Back to you, Saber.
Thank you, Joey. If anybody has one last poem that they would like to share, we would love to hear it. You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share, and the more you share, the more you get out of the event. Does anybody have a poem that is burning in their chests to come out? Don't hold it in, let it out, because we want to hear it.
People are shy in Sparta. Sadly, because I would wish to hear more people reading, but maybe someday.
Right, well,
I would actually love to hear Socrates reading because sometimes he uses voice, but he just, I guess, is too shy to do this.
okay.
Socrates, you got a cat poem you can read for us? Oh,
Never
maybe
mind.
next time. Maybe
The
next
last-
time.
The last poem for the event is Shimbleshanks the Railway Cat by T.S. Eliot. There's a whisper down the line at 11:39 when the night mail's ready to depart, saying, Shimbles, where is Shimbles? He's gone to hunt the thimble. We must find him, or the train can't start. All the guards and all the porters and the station master's daughters, they are searching high and low, saying, Shimbles, where is Shimbles? For unless it's very nimble, then the night mail just can't go. At 11:42, then the signal's nearly due, and the passengers are frantic to a man. Then Shimbles will appear, and he'll saunter to the rear. He's been busy in the luggage van. He gives one flash of his glass green eyes, and the signals all go clear. And we're off at last for the northern parts of the northern hemisphere. You may say that by and large it's Shimbles who's in charge of the sleeping car express. From the drivers and the guards and the baggage men playing cards, he will supervise them all, more or less. Down the corridor he paces and examines all the faces of the travellers in the first and in the third. He establishes control by a regular patrol, and he knows at once if anything's occurred. He will watch you without winking, and he sees what you are thinking, and it's certain that he doesn't approve of hilarity and riot, so the folks are very quiet when Shimbleshanks is about and on the move. You can play no prank with Shimbleshanks. He's the cat that cannot be ignored. So nothing goes wrong on the Northern Mail when Shimbleshanks is abroad. Oh, it's very pleasant when you have found your little den and your name written up on the door. And the berth is very neat with a newly folded sheet, and there's not a speck of dust on the floor. There is every sort of light. You can make it bright or dark or bright. There's a button that you turn to make a breeze. There's a funny little basin you're supposed to wash your face in, and a crank to shut the window if you sneeze. Then the guard looks in politely and he will ask you very brightly, do you like your morning tea weak or strong? But Shimbles, just behind him, was ready to remind him, for Shimbles won't let anything go wrong. And when you creep into your cosy berth and you pull up your counterpane, you're bound to admit that it's very nice to know that you won't be bothered by mice. You can leave all that to the railway cat, the cat of the railway train. In the middle of the night, he's always fresh and bright. Every now and then he has a cup of tea, with perhaps a drop of scotch, while he's keeping on his watch, only stopping here and there to catch a flea. You were fast asleep in crew, so you never really knew that he was walking up and down the station. He was sleeping all the while he was busy in Carlisle, where he greets the station master with elation. But you saw him in Dumfries, where he summons the police. If there's anything they ought to know about, when you get to Galway Gate, then you do not have to wait, for Shimbleshanks will help you to get out. He gives you a wave of his long brown tail, which says, I'll see you again. You'll meet without fail on the midnight mail, the cat of the railway train. And that's Shimbleshanks the Railway Cat by T.S. Eliot. Thank you everyone for coming. Stay safe, have fun, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And hopefully we'll see you at Hotel Chelsea at noon. If not, we'll see you next week. So have fun. Thank you.